For those of you who've never heard of me, I am an author. I've written 2 books. The first one was called Girl with a One-Track Mind. Second one, Girl with a One-Track Mind Exposed. Written about my sex life, written anonymously, the first one in 2006. When it was published, I was outed as the author by the Sunday Times, lost my anonymity, and the second book is about my exposure. That's just some background. Right. I'm pretty sure you've all heard of this book. 10 million people have bought it. From what I've heard, it's pretty good if you like that kind of thing. It's an erotic novel. And what's interesting for me about this particular book is not the contents, which I haven't read, but the cover, because unusually for something erotic or featuring erotic material, it doesn't feature a person at all. It's got a man's tie, which is actually quite inspiring given what the rest of erotic books seem to look like. Let's have a little peek. So here we have a typical book about erotica. It's got lots of stories by lots of different authors, and it's illustrated, it's highlighted to the reader, to the viewer, to the buyer by what? A woman. A woman looking sexy, a woman pleasuring herself, actually. You know, this is our cue to know this is sex, this is sexy, this is going to be fun. My question tonight really is, would we ever see a book with that title with a man ostensibly pleasuring himself? And you see, you laugh because you know the answer to that, and the answer is no. And my question is why? Why not? If you are a heterosexual woman, which I mostly am, but let's just say for argument that there are some women here that are also heterosexual and therefore that we like men and we like to read stories that involve men, why, when we're buying books, do we see women? Let's have a look at another. This book is about whatever she wants, okay? So it's a definite signal. This is a book for women. You're going to like it. It's about what she wants. And it's written by a man. And it's the confessions of a male escort for a woman. Great. Fantastic. But let's actually take a closer look at that, because what we're looking at on that cover is a woman. We're not looking at the male escort. We're looking at her. If anyone actually looks like a hooker, it's her, not him. We've got a shadow in the background sort of hinting that there's a man around. But we're looking at a woman. We're seeing that when it comes to what we call sex or sexy, we have to advertise that or promote that using a woman. Another example. This one's hilarious. The title, male, female, male. I'm sure a lot of women here will relate, or in fact men as well, to that particular fantasy. Great. Female. There's 2 men missing from that particular picture. I don't know if you want to have a threesome. It usually involves 2 other people, not just being on your own. But, you know, we're looking at a woman's arse. It's a great arse, fantastic. It's slightly arousing, brilliant. But hold on. Why is it a woman? Why are we not seeing anything else? Now, when it comes to romance stories, which feature some kind of sex or erotica, there are generally some men on the covers, some women on the covers. But when it comes to erotica, which is both a female and male purchasing audience, I don't have any statistics for this, but from my knowledge of publishing, this is true. Romance is mostly bought by women, erotica by women and men. We forget women as purchasers, and we only, or the publishing industry only markets towards men. Now, have a quick look at these 2. On the left, erotic stories of female dominance. There's going to be some women in here who like being dominant. Fantastic. Some men who like being submissive. Brilliant. You're going to like that book. It's great. On the right, erotic stories of male dominance. Oh, yes. Some men in here that like being dominant. Brilliant. Some women that like being submissive. Fantastic. But hold on. Right, so if, let's say, for argument's sake, I'm a submissive woman, okay, I might like to look at a picture of, a dominant man and they're really aggressive, but I'm looking at a woman's arse. So I'm supposed to relate to her disembodied figure, right? Okay, all right, I'm a dominant woman. Oh yeah, I really like, hitting men and getting off on being a bit sadistic. Oh, I'm supposed to look at that and see myself because I don't get to look at a man's ass that I might like to spank or enjoy. And these two I've put up particularly as a really obvious example. You can't deny the sexism of erotic book covers when you see these two lined up together. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Both women. What happened to the female gaze? What happened to us being able to look at men as sexual beings in the same way that men can look at women as sexual beings? Now, the next slide is done by a couple of friends of mine who actually have a blog called Erotica Cover Watch, which is fantastic. And it's about the previous covers. As you can see, women are supposed to identify with the covers. We're supposed to imagine ourselves to be the women on it. But men, when they're buyers, are supposed to be aroused by it, be titillated by it, to get off on it. Women's desire is being denied. We're just supposed to identify with something objectionable and sexist. Now, you probably can't see these, but these are erotic memoirs, one of which is mine. They're not erotica, they're not fiction, they're true stories. And you'll see that all of them have a woman on the front, whether it's a photograph or whether it's a drawing. And this is something I experienced with my first book. This is the book I wrote when I was anonymous, and I hated that cover. And what you may or may not know is authors very rarely get any input into what their covers look like. In fact, the only input I was allowed in this was to request that the view that was previously of her, which was this particular drawing on the side where she had a breast and a nipple showing, that was removed. But my publishers didn't get that she was being objectified. She was a sexual object. I don't see myself as a sexual object. I mean, we all see ourselves as sexual beings, but it was a book about me, about my sex life, and what my main interest in is men. Therefore, if anything, there should be a man on the cover. But they refused to listen. So when it came to my second book, I said, listen, we've got to do something more progressive. Things have moved on. Things have changed. There's more dynamism out there. People want to challenge the sexism. Both women and men want to buy books. We want to have our desires actualized, realized. Let's show that on the cover. And let's not pander to this basic publishing ignorance, which is, can't possibly offend the men by putting a man on there because, oh my God, gay. It's this real insulting kind of horrible hypocrisy. And it's condescending to men. It's condescending to women. So when I said, okay, let's put a man on the cover, this was the first suggestion that they sent me. And when I said, I'm not quite sure that's grasped the kind of empowered woman, having her own sexual agency, desiring men, they then sent me this. And they said, oh, it's like it's you, but, empowered. And I tried to get across that having sexual agency, owning your desire, which is what sort of my entire writing career is about women not feeling ashamed to want to desire rather than want to be the objects of desire, that this doesn't quite encapsulate it in any way. So they said, okay. Here are some alternatives. We think they're really strong images. We think they, project you in a very positive feminist way. Hold on. Told you. There we are. It's the same thing. Put a sexy woman on the cover, have women readers' desire completely ignored, but let's pander to male sexuality. Well, you know what? Society is like that. Why doesn't publishing change that? Why doesn't publishing try and challenge it? There are enough women in here tonight, I know, because I've spoken to women about this before, that say, you know what, yeah, as much as I might like looking at sexy women, I also like looking at sexy men. Why aren't I being listened to? Why aren't I having that? So which is what I said to my publishers. And you probably can't see, this is my crap drawing. This was my response. Look, there's a man, and we're looking at him, and she's looking at him, we're objectifying him, and he's exposed, and the book's called Girl with a One-Track Mind, Exposed. Look, sexy, crap drawing. And after much argument, and really it was weeks and weeks and weeks of argument and stress, and me feeling like they don't grasp the basics of what I want to portray in terms of my writing, in terms of female sexuality, we managed to come up with this. Now you laugh, but this is the cover of the book, altered. And what I want to point out very quickly is her left toe, because that's what sold this photo for me. It's clenched. She is desiring him. She's experiencing pleasure. It's about her pleasure. She's lifting his clothes, not him lifting hers. We're looking at his arse, not hers. So, that was the cover of my book. It got altered slightly. But can you spot the fatal error on the book? Let's have a look at the next slide. This is the one that got published. And this is the one that they came to me with. At the top, Abby's back and she's sexier than ever. Let's make it about her being sexy and desirable. Let's not talk about her desiring men. So, of course, I argued, and I'm very persuasive, so I got my way. I'm happy to say, and I'm happy with that cover. So you think things are moving on, things are getting better. But look, here we are again. 2013, it's coming out at the end of this year. Again, we have a woman advertising sex. It's stories for straight women, and look, we have to look at a woman. Again, best bondage erotica. Fantastic, who doesn't want a little bit of bondage? Why does bondage equal sexy equals woman? Why can't bondage equal sexy equals man? But things are slowly changing. There are publishers out there who want to do something different. We've got a man and a woman, thank God. We've got a rather tacky man, but it's a man. It's a man. We're looking at his cock. Do you know how empowering that is? And yes, I know, a bit of beefcake and his head's cut off, he's disembodied, he's objectified. Hooray! Finally, we won't have equality unless things actually start changing. So, look, silly title. Sorry, silly title, but lots of men. Not just one, many. And this is a book for women, but it's also sold and promoted and published for men too. And I think what I want to say at the end of this, because I know we're coming to time here, is that it's insulting and patronizing to men as buyers that they're going to be so scared of seeing another man around, so scared of another penis in the picture, that they can't possibly be interested in reading something erotic unless it has a woman promoting it to them. And likewise, it's insulting and condescending to women that all we are supposed to look at and relate to and define is ourselves represented on a book cover. We also have the right to be able to look and to desire and to want something else out there. And I really, really hope that anyone here that is interested in purchasing erotica will put their money where their mouths are and buy stuff that isn't sexist. Thank you.